Thank you for joining me today. It's great to see so many of you tuning in from at home. I'm Pauline, your second speaker for today's conference, and I'll be talking about how real burnout is. I'll also be sharing tips on spotting early signs of burnout and dealing with it so that hopefully you can take this on board and apply it to your own life. Obviously, all of the stories that I share here today are focused on when things were normal, but obviously the whole dynamic has changed at work and like at home and meetups as well. So yeah, I'm going to try and touch up on them as well throughout the talk. So yeah, just a quick intro on me. Hi everyone, I'm Pauline. I'm a keen creator, mostly blogging on important topics to me, such as well-being, mental health, tech, personal development, and more. You can find more on my blog, pauline.com. I'm currently a digital engineering graduate at BT on the digital engineering graduate scheme. Right now, I'm focusing on the wonderful world of site reliability engineering. And that is, it's all really, really nice and fun. Never done DevOps in my life until like about 6 months ago, so still learning loads. I'm due to graduate in September, which is both very exciting, but also terrifying. And I'm an advocate for women, Black folks and people of color in tech. I work on a lot of initiatives with various different organizations to help bridge gaps in STEM. And yeah, I wear a lot of different hats, but to be honest, I absolutely love it. So my breaking point. From my introduction alone, you could probably tell that I like to dip my toes in lots of different things. And that is great, especially as someone who didn't have a tech background. Because of all of these wonderful things that I've been involved in, I've really been able to pave my way into tech. And the next few slides, I'll try and explain and just showcase my story to you. So back in January 2018, I had just finished my final year January exams. And as soon as I finished them, I immediately thought about all the free time I had to do other things like plan talks, go to events, plan events, write posts, film stuff, learn more tech stuff, do more tech stuff, and apply to so many different jobs. So what did I do? I did it all, literally everything, and just in time for graduation. I was obsessed with this concept of grind and hustle and grind, and making the most out of every second of 24 hours that I had. And obviously, the work that I did really did pay off. And today I'm in tech, learning so many different things and actively contributing to some pretty cool stuff. And at the time, I thought I was becoming Superwoman, but listing it out all like that now makes me feel really silly for not seeing this inevitable future of burnout. But just as a side note, I still think that I am Wonder Woman, Superwoman, but I'm less dependent on external things to make me feel like I am. So shortly after finishing my final university exams, I moved to Leeds, where I currently live, to start my summer internship the following Monday. I had hardly moved into Leeds or even so much properly took like a proper breath at this point. This is just an example of what my calendar looked like from finishing my summer internship and then going into my grad scheme. It was a similar sort of structure to how when I finished uni, I started my summer internship that next Monday. So as you can see here, on the Friday, I finished my summer internship and I was feeling pretty good, pretty positive because I contributed quite a bit. I was really proud of what I've achieved in the last 3 months whilst trying to adapt to working from home, adaptive to living in Leeds. So then on the Saturday and the Sunday, I had to start preparing for my grad scheme. And so the first 2 weeks of your grad scheme, I actually had to go to to travel all in like across the country in all sorts of areas, because they had several different sessions. And so I had to pack, had to make sure that on Sunday I was at Ipswich for Monday at like 8:30. So that was a full-on day. We had like train delays, so I was probably traveling that day for like almost like 7 hours. It was absolutely ridiculous because of trains. But then yeah, the Monday to the like a Thursday to to the Friday, I was just had full day induction, and eventually, as you can see from the emojis over the week, I went from being really optimistic and very like upbeat, really excited, to feeling really overwhelmed, to being really tired, and eventually feeling quite burnt out and ill. But I pressed on. I actually was really unwell during my induction event, and I think it was a mixture of like homesickness, but also like trying to take everything in. It's really, really overwhelming when you start a new job, as you probably know. So then, and once again, when I started my actual job in Leeds, in addition to like adjusting to my new working life and learning stuff at work, I just sort of like suffered from like really bad anxiety and fear after like moving away and after doing the induction. And pretty much I just felt super, super overwhelmed. And so what I usually do, and I have always done this, and I can't really explain why, but whenever I get overwhelmed, I just continue to overwhelm myself with other things by adding more to my plate. It sort of was like a hope for me to crush my anxiety. I don't know if anyone else feels this way. I've never really spoken out loud about this, and I'll be actually quite interested to know if anyone else has done this before. Whenever they felt overwhelmed, they just add more to make themselves feel better, but it just like goes the wrong way. So I added more to my plate just to hope to like crush my anxiety. Obviously that didn't work, but it did work throughout university. But when I entered the working world, as well as like personal stuff going on, I just kept doing it. As you can see there, did more learning. I started teaching my Code First Girls courses after work. Did more self-imposed learning after work. I attended meetups. I did more blogging. I did more learning, and my days were literally just learning, working, and working towards a goal that I really that at the time was really important to me. But eventually I started to realize that this is unsustainable, because what does this result to? It results in burnout. So burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excess and prolonged stress. It occurs when you feel overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and unable to meet constant demands. So that's how I was feeling, and it took me quite a while to spot the signs. And it's sometimes quite difficult to spot these signs of burnout when you're so focused on your goal. I know that happened to me. I just was like, I want to make sure that I make such a huge impact as soon as I enter this new job. I want to make sure that I make a great impression. I want to make sure that people take me seriously. So I was really focused on learning about the company, learning about like how they work, learning about the different code bases, and I just wanted to contribute from day one and hit the ground running. But sometimes that's not, like I said, sustainable or healthy in the long run. And these are just some warning signs that I slowly started to realize and recognize over time, and that you should also look out for. So, friends and family kindly telling you to slow down. It was like everyone was warning me about it, and it seemed like I was taking too much on and slowly spiraling out of control. But I just couldn't see it. And I actually always responded to like friends and family with things like, I know what I'm doing fine. It's only this, it's only that. I just need to do this, I need to do that. Just leave me alone. Stop like trying to derail me. And sometimes, like I said, it just felt like they were trying to stop me or slow me down for some reason. And it actually, upon reflection, it was actually the fact that they cared for me. They were just talking to me taking me to one side and being like, you need to sort of take it down a notch and like just keep calm and everything, but because they just cared about my mental health and well-being. So if people are saying this, it might be good to take a moment to reflect. They might just be genuinely worried for you. The second one is not getting enough sleep. I was actually running on 5 to 6 hours of sleep most days in 2018, and I knew that sleep was important at the time, but sometimes I just physically couldn't sleep because all I wanted to do was go through my to-do list and tick it off and do some more learning, do some more, working towards my goals. I was just so wired with all the things that I needed to do. And this is obviously a massive red flag, because if you're replacing sleep for extra hours of work to tick things off your to-do list, that is so unhealthy. That is a massive red flag. And nowadays I just sleep. I prioritize sleep. Like, it doesn't matter if I don't if I don't get my goals for the day done, I just go to sleep. It's okay. Everything's fine. And yeah, so that is a massive red flag. Losing interest. So my interest in things like my blog, videos, and even like health began to suffer. People began to notice the lack of like enthusiasm that I had towards things, and I found myself stuck in a cycle of negative thoughts. And I was like irritable to the people that I love the most, and it was just really negative. And if you start like losing interest in what used to be something that you got up for in the morning, it might be a sign that you're running low on battery. Similar to my last point, if you feel like constantly down and experiencing lots of negative emotions, I know I felt like this because of all the things that I said yes to. I started to realize that my 24 hours wasn't enough. And this actually led to a lot of dread and anxiety. I said yes to everything, so I felt like I just needed to do everything. And then because I knew I didn't have time, it just stressed me out even more. And then on top of that, I started getting anxious. I started avoiding people, and I started just like getting, I was just in such a negative cycle that I wasn't very pleasant to be around. And yeah, and it just wasn't good, because like I signed up to something I was really excited about in the first place, but then suddenly I was like, actually, I don't want to do this anymore. And overall, my days just started to feel like one big chore, and I hated it. Again, another big red flag. Cognitive problems. So if you're forgetting things a little bit all over the place and making silly mistakes, bursting out into like different emotions, you might be experiencing burnout. I know that this is definitely something my partner can tell you that I do a lot. Whenever I'm like piling up with loads of different things, saying yes to everything, I could just be all over the place to the point that I can't even think straight. And falling ill. Nothing hits you more in the face than this one. During the summer of 2018, when I confirmed my place on my 2-year grad scheme, when I finished my summer internship on the Friday, I took the weekend to prepare for the induction event the following week. And like I said, it was an intense next few weeks. I was traveling up and down the country. I was feeling exhausted from all the traveling, mentally exhausted from all the networking. And one night, like I said earlier, I actually fell quite ill, to the point like I had to skip a few days on the induction events and actually ended up missing more stuff. And it got to a point I was actually in my hotel room just staring at the ceiling, because I was like, why do I feel so bad? I feel terrible right now. And that was like the first hit. And people deal with overwhelm in different ways, and this was my way. Like, I was just taking on more things. So when I eventually got better during my induction event, I was like, okay, catch me up. I need to do this. Catch me up. I need to make sure that I'm up to speed with everything. And when I actually started my grad scheme, I was actually ill for a few days with like a random cold or a really bad migraine. And it was really weird, because I never get ill. But then every single month, when I started my grad scheme, the first 6 months, I was always ill for like 5 days, 3 days with like a migraine or a cold. Like my immune system was saying, Pauline, you need to you need to go back a bit, reflect, you need to like calm down, don't stress yourself out, because it really shows, it really physically gets you. And this is actually a really, this leads me on to this Ariana. She actually shared her story on burnout a few times now, and I highly recommend that you listen to a few of her interviews and talks about the subject, because she has some really great insights. But there was one day that one story that she talked about where she actually collapsed from overworking herself. This actually led her to waking up with a pool of blood on her desk, because she was so mentally exhausted. She must have fallen asleep or something and then hit her head on her table, and then when she woke up, there was just blood everywhere, and then she ended up having a broken cheekbone as well, which is crazy. That's what like exhaustion does to you. She actually said in the past, I had 1,000 wishes before this, but now after the incident, she only wished for one thing, and that was to get better. And again, it just reflects back to what I said before. It was like my body was screaming for help and saying, please slow down, please stop. And when your body is like screaming this at you, you just have to take a step back and listen. So, how can we deal with burnout once we experience it? So, dealing with burnout is something I'm still constantly learning about, but I feel like over the years, I've started to develop some strategies since my breaking point that I continue to practice today when I spot early signs of burnout. So the first one is to be honest with yourself. Looking back at that time in my life, I know that a lot of it was caused by unnecessary pressure that I put on myself. I've had to ask myself some really tough questions, like, why am I actually doing this? And from this one simple question, I realized that I have quite a bit of deep, like, rooted beliefs that pressure me to say yes all the time. Ones that I've like personally found that like a belief that I found is my self-worth. So this again is very it's something I didn't realize until I had that honest conversation with myself, and I realized that I actually attach a lot of my self-worth to how much I can produce. So whether that's content, whether that's like my new job, or like amount of lines of code I wrote that day, and that is very, very toxic, because there's this like hustle obsession, productivity addiction, and ridiculous work ethic that I link to my identity. And it doesn't really help when you see the most successful people that you look up to, and they're like the shining example of this. These people are great for inspiration and motivation, without a doubt, but where do we actually draw the line? That is something that you just need to be honest with yourself. And if you are equating your self-worth and value to your output, it might be just a good time to step back and think about what really, really matters. This exercise really helped me understand my motivations and shift my mindset around productivity overall. It turns out rest is a huge part of success. Something to consider. I usually, like I said, I usually like to ask myself these questions. How does this serve me? How does this serve others? Can I do this on time and with top quality? If not, can I recommend someone else? And these questions really deserve honest answers, and it's like sort of a framework that I've developed nowadays whenever I'm deciding to do a project or deciding to speak at an event. And this is just so much more of a considered approach rather than just jumping headfirst. And also the last bit is, if you can't do it and you say no, make sure that you like pass that on to someone else, because it might be a really good opportunity for someone else to take up. And yeah, I've been practicing it the last few months, and it's been really fun. block out time for you. So this is just the physical act of blocking out time on your calendar can help you commit more time for yourself. This has worked for me, and I have a few blocks throughout my day now where I can literally just focus on whatever I want. So I call this Project Me. So these blocks during my day have helped me stay sane. I fill them with things that really inspire me, that really energizes me, and that includes like exercise, journaling, blogging, and taking care of my plants. So sometimes we just need that physical block of time to do that. Disconnect. In our 24/7 world, sometimes we just need to walk away from the internet for a bit. And I think like social media is fantastic, especially during this time, because like you connect with more people, and it's great to stay connected. But sometimes seeing what other people are doing can make life feel like a bit of a sprint. So when it's more of a marathon, staying offline, invest in more offline habits. If you like reading, drawing, or going outside to walk around safely, connecting with friends instead of feeds. I took my first social media break ever last year for a couple of weeks, and I returned feeling so much more at ease. And I just think that we deserve to give ourselves a little break from the overwhelm of social media and just let our minds wander for a bit. Staying mindful. I personally love keeping a track of how I'm feeling day in, day out. And you can do this with journaling or using several different apps. I can recommend some that I've been using recently, and I'll link that in the Discord later. This has helped me be more aware of like any early warning signs of burnout as they crop up. And I always use this as a way to remind myself of like positive messages that my self-worth isn't defined by my productivity, because sometimes we just need these reminders. And yeah, this is just do nothing, walk away for a bit, literally switch off everything and just walk away. It's okay. I know it can feel like you need to be on something, you need to be on like social media, you need to like constantly be doing something, but sometimes you can just walk away and just do nothing, and that's fine. Recharge your batteries. For me, in 2019 was my year of recharging. I spent most of my time traveling, reading books, and finally catching up with the MCU with no regrets. Iron Man is the strongest Avenger. And yeah, so this doesn't actually mean the end of taking up opportunities. Just because you have decided to prioritize your health, it doesn't mean that you're quitting. It just means that you're taking a break, and you'll be returning with a new burst of enthusiasm and energy that allows you to do your very best. And if there's one thing you want to remember from this talk and take away from this talk, it's this. We need to let go of this destructive belief that if you keep working hard constantly, you will succeed, because it's just unhealthy and unsustainable. I love this quote that I'm showing up on the screen right now. So you won't find true balance unless you install checks on your time, energy, and other resources. Draw the lines. You will not cross lines with permanent markers, laser beams, and barbed wire. Defend your bandwidth with repeated and firm resolve. Your survival depends on it. We aren't machines, so let's stop acting like one. Thank you so much, and stay safe out there, folks.